What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. So we're here with my 2022 Yamaha R1. I know you guys have been missing this content, so we are back at it. In case you are a little bit out of the loop on what I've been working on, we have a new FJ09, well, not new, but new to the garage FJ09 sitting right over here. Not sure if you can see it in the frame, but it's been an experience. We had a nightmare of a interaction with the dealership and their service department, but then after we got things resolved, we threw on some good mods. So the bike's pretty much finished. We made a nice little build series out of it. If you guys are interested in seeing that, I'll leave the playlist in the top right of the description. But back to the R1. So we do have some more parts that we're going to be throwing on. So if you are not subscribed, please subscribe to the channel. We're about to hit 2,000 subscribers, so I'm super stoked to hit that milestone. So those will be some upcoming videos that we're going to be working on. And for my birthday, actually, we're going to the track with a bunch of my buddies. So I figured, since I'm doing the work anyhow, I would show you guys how to get your bike ready to pass tech inspection at the track. If you can see my hat and my shirt, I usually ride with TrackDaz organization. I'm not affiliated in any way. I like the organization. There's a lot of great guys in there. So the tech suggestions and processes that I'm going to walk you through is basically what TrackDaz does, and it's pretty much the same for a lot of California organizations, at least. We're not doing race tech inspection. We're doing just regular riding tech inspection and safety for the track. So we're going to go from front to rear on everything that you need to prepare for your first track day, or maybe something that you might have forgotten for your next track day. So stay tuned, and I hope you guys enjoy the video. Alright, so the first thing that we're going to be doing, always got to tape up your wheel weights. If one of those were to fling off at a rider behind you, I mean, that could seriously injure them. So we're taking Gorilla Tape. Painter's tape is not allowed for wheel weights. It has to be duct tape, or like we're using here, Gorilla Tape. So let's see, cut this down just a little bit. And we're going to cover our front two wheel weights. And the front is done. So now let's move on to the rear. Just like the front, you have two weights in the back for my rear wheel. Yours might have more, might have less, might have none. Just depends on your tire when it was mounted. So we're going to cut another piece. Doesn't have to be pretty, doesn't have to be perfect. You're going to the track just to have fun. No one cares if you have a shiny bike. Alright, so that's that. My rear weights are taped up. Let's move on to the next step. Next up, we're going to check our chain tension. You don't want this too tight, or else you could snap your chain on the track and your chain could crack into your engine block. So you definitely want your chain to be a little bit loose. One rule of thumb that I learned from JJ from Suspension Matters, he's kind of the go-to guy for Southern California. He's always at the racetracks helping people out with their suspension and anything else that happens. He recommends being able to put 2 fingers from the top of the chain guide rail. So if you can fit about 2 fingers in there, that's good tension. And that's something you can go by. For me, I am leaving it a little bit tight. This is a brand new chain, so it's going to stretch out. But like I just showed you, I do have that 2 fingers right here on the top chain guide rail of spacing, so that will pass inspection. The next area we need to talk about is your mirrors. On my bike, I have installed block off plates for the mirrors. I don't like having mirrors at all when I ride the track because I like to be able to focus solely on the turn, not have anything in my vision as a distraction. But if you are going to run the stock mirrors, the glass will need to be covered with painter's tape. Not only is it for safety with glass possibly breaking on the track, but it's also so you're not looking behind you. When you're on the track, you should always be looking forward. It's a one-way road. You don't need to be looking behind you, especially on a straightaway or anything like that, because that split second that you look behind, you could have completely thrown off your entire turn, your turn in, your apex, anything like that, and you could end up having a bad day, and the rider behind you could end up having a bad day. So, like I said, tape up your glass, just so you're not looking behind you, and so there's no glass on the track. Or you can remove them completely and put block-off plates. Another thing that they're probably going to check are your fork seals and the overall condition of your forks. Are they leaking oil? Are they corroded in any way? Is there anything abnormal about your forks? Obviously this bike is pretty new. It's also very good condition, so there is no problems with the forks, but that is something to look like, so make sure you are not leaking anything out of your forks from both sides. Another thing that they're going to do at the track is test out your brake pressure for the front. So usually this is done, they're going to feel the by giving it a few pumps so they can feel the pressure. Another thing they'll do also is hold the brake lever in, giving it pressure to make sure that it's not giving up and pushing back and back and back and back, which means either you have some air in your brake lines or there's another issue that you need to look into. But like I said, they'll give it some pumps, feel the tension, they'll hold it, and if that brake lever slowly is pushing back towards the handlebar, they're probably not going to pass that, and they're going to tell you to look at your brakes and come back for tech. The next part of the bike that they're going to check out is your engine and overall condition of your motor. They're going to check to make sure your oil plug is tight, and they're going to look around. Sometimes they'll have a flashlight to make sure that there is no oil leaking. There is no basically any fluids coming from the motor that can leak onto the track and cause someone to skid out. It's very dangerous when you have hot asphalt with these bikes going on it at the speeds that they are. That little bit of slick of oil could really ruin someone's day. So they're going to check not only the right side but the left side and make sure there's no oil or anything dripping, especially underneath. They're also going to check to see if there's any sort of leaking underneath as well. They're also going to check your oil filter, make sure there's no leaks from under there. But as you can see with this bike, everything's super clean, so we're good on this. Going over the back end of the bike, they're going to feel your rear sets, make sure nothing is loose. They're also going to check your rear brake, so they'll give it a few pumps, make sure that there's good enough pressure with your brake lever. Some bikes that I've inspected, at least, when you push it down, you don't feel like you get any pressure, so I'll spin the back wheel and see if it moves. But really, having a back brake, even though you don't use it as much on the track, if at all, is just in case your fronts were to go out, you still have your rear brake to be able to stop the bike. So we have good pressure, rear sets are nice and tight, there's nothing loose, so we're good on here. Just like we did on the right side of the bike, I would be checking the left rear set, make sure everything is tight. Also be checking the shifter lever, make sure that's tight as well. And overall, just like the right, just going to do a quick look at the motor and the engine and the stator cover and make sure that there are no leaking parts on the bike that could drip down onto the asphalt. So just check left and right side of your bike, make sure there's no leaks, and you'll be in good shape. Some organizations are also going to check your clutch. Basically, they're going to make sure that you have a good firm pull. I think, at least from my experience, a lot of guys don't realize when their clutch is a little too loose. What you really want is when you pull the lever just a little bit, you want maybe like a 2 credit card size gap right here between the lever and the actual mount. So that's the ideal measurement. When your bike does heat up, this does get a little bit tighter. So if you have a 2 or 3 credit card little size gap, you're going to be good to go. But just make sure that you have a good firm pull on your clutch and you're going to be all right. This area is a little bit hard to get video of, but they're also going to check your radiator, make sure there are no punctures. I have a radiator guard on my radiator and an oil cooler guard. So my radiator's been in good shape pretty much since I bought the bike. But they will check your radiator, make sure it's in good condition and that you're not going to be leaking radiator fluid onto the track. So definitely check that as well before you head out there to make sure you don't have any big issues that you need to take care of. Another thing they're going to check are your tires. Are they pretty much done? How much tread do you have left? Another thing you can tell is sometimes on the edge, if the tires are really pushing it down to where they need to be changed out, you'll see like a purplish, bluish kind of reflection. I don't exactly know why that happens, but I believe it has something to do with the heat cycles and overheating. So basically the sidewall, I think, is you know, not as strong or deteriorating. Like I said, don't quote me on this, but I'm still trying to learn and figure that out. But as you can see, this tire, we still have some good tread in it. Probably have track day, maybe like 500 miles left on this front tire. So let's check out the rear. All right, so let's check out my rear tire. So overall, the tire looks like it's in great condition. It's definitely had some wear, but there's no discoloration like I was mentioning earlier on the sidewalls of the tire. We still have some good tread left, and overall, tire looks like it's in good shape. All right, so the last part of the bike that we need to cover is your rear brake light. So how I do it is I disconnect my rear tail light and the turn signals from inside of the back of the bike. And then I also put painter's tape over the tail light. I do have an integrated smoke tail light, which does have a softer finish. So when these tires get sticky and they get hot, sometimes there's little pebbles that'll fling up and it can damage the taillight. So I always like to put a piece of painter's tape over it after I've disconnected all of the lights in the back end. But the other way to do it, if you don't want to disconnect anything in the tail section of your bike, is to put gray or black duct tape over the lights themselves. So then with that method, you don't have to do any electrical stuff or disconnecting any parts of your rear end, but you cannot use painter's tape. And the reason why is because the rear brake light is a distraction. So if there's a rider behind you and you brake, that can be a center of attention that they shouldn't be focusing on, and that can throw off their turn. That can throw off when they turn in. That can throw off when they start braking. They might brake too late because they're tunnel visioned on your brake light instead of looking to the turn themselves and judging the braking point and the lean-in point in the apex, because they missed a tenth of a second or a hundredth of a second or whatever it is because they saw you brake and they got distracted. So that's the reason why taillights are not allowed to be shown. And like I said, if you want to keep everything connected, gray or black duct tape, or just disconnect everything like I did, put some painter's tape over it, protect your light, and that's pretty much how you take care of the rear end. Alright everyone, well that's going to do it for this video about how to prep your bike for track day inspection. So everything that these organizations are doing and the standards of safety that they're putting forth are really for everyone's good for that track day. The whole point of a track day is to have fun, hone your skills, and be safe and go home in one piece. It's not about drag a knee. It's not about being the fastest person out there. It's really about having a good time, being safe, and getting to be a better rider. That's really what the track's all about, unless you're trying to race, and that's a whole separate conversation that we are not going to have right now. And for some of the newer guys watching this video, I actually did an interview with one of my friends that he's ridden track for quite a long time, and I interviewed him just asking about some advice and tips that he would recommend for some newer track riders. So I'm going to put a link to that video in the top right. So definitely check it out if you're newer to the track scene. Even if you're not maybe as new, maybe something that he says can resonate with you and help you in some way. So I hope that video helps in some way. Other than that, that's pretty much going to do it. So if you guys enjoyed the video, please drop a like. Leave a comment in the description below if you have any questions about any of the stuff that we did today or anything else. I respond to all my comments, and subscribe for the future episodes of us working on this R1. So as always guys, ride safe, and we'll see you next time.